Yeah, all right. Let's rate these fucking Batman movies, man, in honor
Yeah,
of
dude.
Robert Pattinson getting his like solo shit going.
Edward Twinkle doing the bats.
Yes, dude. Um,
The light boy becomes the dark boy.
because I
He
just
threw away his glitter.
rewatched. I was telling you today, but I wasn't telling you today because I just rewatched Batman and Batman Returns for this,
Right.
and I wanted to talk about it with you so much, but then I wanted to save it for just this. But
Good, because I mean, yeah, yeah, okay. Well, I guess where do we start? Because I am
just
also very down. I just
chronologically, how they
also
came out, we're just gonna start with the first Batman in '89.
cool. Yeah, I also did recently rewatch these ones, which was a treat. Absolutely.
They're fucking weird, but like cool. So like something I've picked up now is how much of like a Sam Raimi ness I get, and obviously this came out before, but like a
Hmm.
Sam Raimi kind of like it feels like a whimsical universe that's like really fleshed out and different. Like it only can
Yeah.
exist within itself, but it works.
Because these ones are the ones directed by Tim Burton, right?
Right.
Super weird kind of storytelling with that guy, and I feel like it comes through really well with these movies. It's very like play-esque with the
Yeah.
set features and everything.
Oh yeah.
I think that yeah, they like knock it out of the park with like the set design and stuff. And it does still stay pretty like cartoony too in terms of
Oh,
or like
100%.
not cartoony but comic booky with like even some of the shots that they have of like the Wayne Manor like some of the different like camera angles that they use are the same angles from the strips, which is just so good.
Oh yeah, well, like some of the intro parts too have like painted in like it's just an animated Batman, like it's not even
Mhm.
Michael Keaton. But I really like the first movie. It's not as good as I wanted it to be. Like it is dated for sure. Like
Yeah, it
um,
feels like you're watching an older movie. That
oh
yeah,
for sure,
absolutely.
because like Michael Keaton kind of just does look like a dad who's playing Batman in that movie. Like it's very weird. Like he doesn't get much time to be anything else than just Batman in that first one.
I do like him as Bruce Wayne though.
Yeah.
I He is one of my favorite Bruce Waynes, I
So
think.
I will say, like, I agree
Yeah.
with that in the next movie.
Yes, yes. I guess that is true. This one he definitely doesn't have as much time. He's a little bit more of like a mysterious figure, and I love their use of what is it? Like wire work. It's like so overdone and cheesy but works so well.
Yeah. I really like his gadgets in these movies because, like, in the Arkham games, you get to use a lot of them. So they're like rewatching it. It was like, hey, it's the thing I use, like half the time.
Yeah, right.
Um, I do like I said, it's dated because like the action scenes are pretty like meh.
Yeah.
But like Jack Nicholson is fucking incredible as the Joker. Honestly, like I think he gets kind of like thrown out of the mix now for like top Joker performances, but he did a great job like kind of making it his own.
Right, because it's the mob boss Joker, and I do enjoy mob boss Joker. Like I mean, and we can get into it, but the Heath Ledger Boker was fantastic. But there are different versions, and I do just really enjoy the mob boss version. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Um, I think he was great in this movie. The love interest is really forgettable. Also, it does a great Batman sin, which he like kills the Joker.
Right.
So like I feel like on that thing alone, like it gets knocked down a few pegs for me because it kind of just ruins Batman's whole shtick.
Yeah, like come on, man. That's
Um, because
he don't do that.
yeah, I think this movie has like you were talking about like great set design, wire work, things like that. It's very well built, but it just doesn't stand up as well nowadays.
Yeah, no, and now that like it's funny because as we talk about this, now I haven't pre-rated any of these in my head. I have ones that like are definitely my favorites, but I haven't backed the first two up against each other. This one's definitely a lot worse of a movie just in general.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
where do you think you would put it on the tier list?
I would give it a B because I think it's a really solid like starting like for an old comic book movie it still stands up decently, which is very surprising cuz like anything like this and Spider-Man are like the only two that are really like stand up well still nowadays, honestly. And even still,
Right.
this has a little bit of wear on it. But oh, and something I forgot to talk about: the fucking soundtrack was the theme and like the composing was done by Danny Elfman, who
Hmm.
also did the Spider-Man soundtrack. And so like the bum
Right.
bum 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 like that Batman thing, they also used that in the animated series, and I didn't know that it came from this movie originally.
That's so because it is like that kind of score-esque music is so good for the like heroic tragedy of it all.
And then Prince did an entire album worth of music for this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Oh my
go check
God.
out. In this first movie, there's a scene where Jack Nicholson is like invading a place, and it plays one of the songs. And I don't know if there's more
Okay.
throughout the movie, but yeah, that was kind of an insane revelation I learned. But I would say a B. I think like showing
Yeah.
it a little bit of respect, even because it was the first one, and it's like still a solid movie, but not great.
And I mean, another thing to consider as well is just the sheer fact that like I would even potentially consider it a lower B against some of the other
Oh,
movies on
for
the list
sure.
too. You know,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have it at necessarily like front B. And just another note about because I love the practicality of the later of like the older movies. The Joker makeup, the way that they did it so that it looked like he was wiping away the skin tone
Yeah.
of his face to reveal the white was like like such a small thing, but genius.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was definitely like the standout from Batman for me.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But moving on to the next movie, Batman Returns, that is
Dude,
Michael Keaton's fucking like he shines in that movie so much more. Like
this.
he has more screen time, honestly.
Mhm.
Like he's not sharing the stage with Jack Nicholson so much, and all of his other characters are good supporting cast. You know.
Exactly. He's definitely this is my one of my favorite Bruce Waynes. I think out of a lot of the movies is this one because you get to see a lot of interactions with him and like the other characters and Alfred too. And you get like a lot more of his personality, and I think he is a lot more dashing and like
He fits the role more. Yeah,
right and confident, which
one
is
hundred
cool.
percent.
It's going to be a theme for me, but he is smaller still. I do like a bigger Batman.
Yeah.
Batman is traditionally very large, just in general.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's like
He's
he
tiny.
is he is still a mousy boy.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, no, he's definitely one of my favorite Bruce Waynes. And I just love all of the costumes in these first two, just in general. Like all of the costume design is just top
The
notch.
the only thing I will say, so the costumes are great. The only problem is the practicality of them because it fucks Michael Keaton over whenever he has to look up in these movies because he has to like, oh, it's so fucking funny watching him do that. But okay,
Oh shit.
Returns I think has become like I knew it was a great movie. I just haven't seen it in a while. It's become one of my favorite Batman movies, especially rewatching it today because it has the best of Michael Keaton. It
Yeah.
has is it Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman? She
Yes.
fucking kills it.
She's
She's an
great.
incredible Catwoman.
Yep.
Like half the lines she has are just like it's like Emperor Palpatine kind of shit where any other actor would disservice it because they'd play it too campy, but like she
Right.
plays it even more campy and that's why it's good. Like it's just so it's incredible. I was blown away by her
And because
performance.
because of the set design, because of the costumes, I feel like the fact that they are playing it up in that way, it works so much. It works that much better. Like it works like a play. You know,
Mhm.
you're not. It's not cringe because it's like no, like this is kind of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. And like this movie is so much darker and grosser and it's shot way better. Like
Yeah.
watching these movies back to back, the first movie is very static and boring. This movie has way more dynamic shots, close-ups of characters. Like it's beautiful. It's way
The
better
whole
looking.
during the speech, during Christopher Walken's speech, like it's one of the first scenes, and the like sewer people or like clown people are coming out and tearing apart the city or whatever, and the Batmobile comes in. That whole sequence feels pretty big for like I that whole sequence alone, like nothing like that happened in the first movie.
No, not at
Um,
all.
yeah, and so there's just a lot. They have a lot more fun with this one, and it shows. And yeah, the supporting cast, like you were kind of saying, the villains with Christopher Walken,
Hmm.
Danny DeVito,
Danny DeVito's
Michelle.
incredible in this movie too.
So you said you recently watched this one as well.
Today.
Okay, yeah. So like super rapey and sexual, Danny DeVito,
Oh
like the
yeah, he's
penguin in
he's
this movie.
very creepy in this movie.
So like grimy and weird. Like all of the jokes are just kind of like dated, but even for the time, it felt like, oh, like
Well, he's like
okay,
he's
what?
he also like eats the raw fish and shit. Like it's super
Yeah.
gross. And he like bites that guy's nose. Like it's pretty fucking metal.
They make
Like
it dark, and I think
yeah.
that's part of the Tim Burton like kind of dark twist to it is
Hmm.
like how like gritty and just like spiral grin type like just like chill it all has to it.
Right.
And I think that's what makes it work as well as it does is that like that's a Batman enemy is like
Hmm.
that kind of vibe is what he fights.
Yeah. I fucking love this movie. I would want to put this in like S.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Hell yeah. Okay. Because
No,
I,
I
I I
because
love
also
Batman
this
Returns.
is our 1992 highest grossing film in 1992, the year that we were born.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, right?
Let's
Exactly.
go. Gotta
Straight up.
represent. All right. Batman Forever. We just watched this together maybe like a handful of weeks ago.
That's right. That's right,
Yep.
we did.
Yep. This is where it all starts going downhill.
Honestly, and for a lot of different reasons, because with this kind of cast, you figure it's going to be a slam dunk. And so I don't think it's necessarily the fault of the casting. It's kind of just, I kind of equate these two runs of movies to the X-Men, like 2000s X-Men with the first introduction of Hugh Jackman. Where like it's not bad by any means, but I feel like a lot of the changes that they made to try to make it more modern kind of missed the mark a little bit.
Hmm.
Like with the costumes, I think the costumes are really cool, but almost a little bit too modern.
Dude, they're so cool that we get to see like their butt and nipples.
And like, yeah,
Yeah, dude. Sorry, hold on. Let me throw this in S tier real quick while
yeah,
you shit on it. No.
boom. Yeah, but like that's exactly it. Is like the fact that the butts and the nips of these costumes are the best part is like not what makes a good Batman costume.
Yeah. Well, like you replace Michael Keaton with Val Kilmer because it's like pretty much still a sequel. Like it's a standalone sequel, but it's still building off of like the vibe that was set from the previous two, you know? And so you have
Right.
Val Kilmer, who like he's a good actor, but he's so lifeless as Batman. He
Hmm.
literally has like main video game character energy, where it's just average white dude just being like, "I have to save the day," you know, like that's the energy he puts off in this movie.
Right. He kind of doesn't have the ability to go deeper with the emotion other than that, where like you get your Michael Keaton and it's just like you can tell that there's a lot cooking under the hood there. With you know, with Val Kilmer, it's like, yeah, he's really acting.
Yeah. um, Jim Carrey, it's like I don't hate him in this role because I think he's one of the best parts of the movie. Just because like if it's weird and like gonna do shit like this, like Jim Carrey should stand out, you know?
Yeah. And I know the age old adage of this one is the whole Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey feud about like how they never got along on set.
Hmm.
And knowing that and rewatching it like kind of recently, like when we rewatched it, I feel like Tommy Lee Jones really phones it in this movie. Like
Just goes
I
super hammy without actually trying to like navigate it, you know?
yeah, like everyone up until this point, I've very much believed played their like villain role or side character role really well, apart from the very forgettable early Jim Gordons.
Yeah.
Um, but I felt like Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face really missed the mark with like he kind of I feel like knowing that he hated Jim Carrey, he kind of just followed his energy in all of the scenes as opposed to being like his own Two-Face. it was kind of just him meeting the Jim Carrey energy of the Riddler, giggling along and being like, "Yeah, let's do that," but having
Yeah.
a little bit more of an explosive hair trigger. It
Hmm.
doesn't. I mean, that's not. I feel like it's not giving me anything for that character.
Yeah, for sure. Because like Christopher Walken was more memorable as a villain, and I don't know his villain's name was like Max or something, you know. And it's like Tommy Lee Jones played Two Face, and like yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. Also,
Um,
Chris O'Donnell was introduced as Robin in this, which I actually really like the Robin scene because it's pretty like comic accurate with like the flying graces and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that they show the Graysons as being like heroes in those scenarios as well.
Hmm.
Like, he lost his family because they were trying to protect, so it made him turning into Robin like a no-brainer, more or
Hmm.
less. Um,
Right.
yeah, this I mean, as much as I was shitting on the costumes themselves, like the flying Grayson suits were really cool.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Um, Yeah, no, I liked him a lot as Robin. He was he was like the first Robin on screen, live
Oh
action
yeah.
Robin.
Well, they made him like the cool kid, so it's like he had piercings and he rode motorcycles and yeah, man.
Right. For Bruce to get him to stay around, he's like, I got a cool motorcycle in the garage. And he's like,
Yep.
okay, maybe I'll stay.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
where would you put Batman Forever?
Batman Forever, I would do probably a C.
Okay, I was thinking the same thing because it slips in a lot of places, but it's definitely not the worst one.
Yes, 100%,
Okay.
100%. And I think the next thing I'll say is this one of the ones where the Batmobile looks a little bit more like a wiener?
No, it's the one with like the big wings in the back. I mean, it might look like a
Yeah,
dick. A lot of
yeah.
Batmobiles look like dicks if you think hard enough about it.
It's yeah, no. These were some of my favorite Batmobiles growing up. The ones that were
Hmm.
like kind of like the long sports car kind of deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This
Those
was
were
the
some of my
last of
favorite.
that because we're about to
Yeah.
get into the nuclear bomb that stopped this movie franchise, Batman and Robin. Which like
Let's go.
if we're being honest, we don't even need to discuss where this goes. We just need to determine if it's going to go in the bottom one or we create a new tier called So Bad It's Incredible.
I mean, honestly, that's the thing too, though, is that like realistically, I'd put it at the very, very front of B. Like,
I can't do that. It killed this franchise. He has a Bat credit card, Ryan. We can't do that. He's he
uh,
hits his boots together and ice skates come out.
yeah, yeah, that's like the old school
This
show.
is literally like worse than Star Wars merchandising for children. Like
So where I do love this one is like all of the campiness. I feel like this one does a lot of the campiness right, but everything about the movie is just bad. I think the Batmobile in this one is atrocious because
it's not
it's
a
just
fuck. Dude, I was literally about to say, like, speaking of the worst Batmobiles, this is probably the worst one. I had this toy too. Hold on,
me
I
too.
need to
Me
bring up a
too.
fucking toy of it. Or yeah,
Yeah.
hold on.
No, I had it too
Batman
because this is the
and
one where
Robin.
the rims light up and shit, right?
Yep, it's like orange weirdly. Yeah. Oh my god.
Holy shit, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
What is this thing?
Nice big thick one.
God.
And you know what? I do low key like this. I like the long sports car look,
Yeah.
but it's also disgusting.
It's pretty disgusting.
Arnold
Okay.
Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze,
Hmm.
incredible. Incredible.
The
I thought he was
memeiest
like
villain that's ever come out of Batman, and that's including Bane.
right, right, exactly. And like he played it so well. It was so good.
Chill out.
Um,
Nice to meet you.
um I actually did think that Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy was a really cool casting. I think she played that role pretty cool.
You have a
Um
pretty solid, like, you have George Clooney as Batman and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and that movie sucks, you know?
like how? How did that happen? And I didn't hate George Clooney as
He's
Bruce
Batman, but
Wayne.
he's a limp dick. Oh yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yeah,
As Bruce Wayne, he's fine because he's a real life Bruce Wayne. He exudes that energy. But
he's the in between the Keaton and the second one.
Val Kilmer,
Yeah, that one.
he is okay. So here's the thing. I think he's one of the best Bruce Waynes just because he is just naturally Bruce Wayne. Like even when he
Yeah,
plays it poorly, he's still like good at it. He is
right.
the worst on-screen Batman.
Yeah, you can tell he kind of doesn't care. Like,
Yeah.
which is like, oh God.
I mean, if I walked onto that set, I mean, he must have read that script. It was all about the money. Let's be real.
Right, right, exactly.
But Chris O'Donnell's back because these first four movies are somehow like connected. Like it's
Yeah,
supposed to still be one continuous thing.
right.
Like, and he
Um,
comes back, and he seems to really be trying though. Like that's what's. And then
that's the sad part.
they do him dirty with that, like when Poison Ivy kisses him, but he has the rubber lips, and he's like rubber lips, like that. It's like that's this movie sucks, dude,
God.
but it's
Okay,
awesome.
yeah. Put it in deceased.
It has to be. It
Put
has
it
to
in
be.
deceased. Put it in deceased.
But here's the thing.
It was the rubber lips that sealed the deal.
However, this okay, and it's other just shitty parts about this movie too. Where like, there's a scene where Robin is like struggling in like one of Poison Ivy's like pools that has vines in it. They literally just
Mhm.
loop back and forth him like going underwater and like going up for air. Like like a big budget movie did that.
Just looping the same video like clip.
It's so bad. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
will say, regardless of how we actually rank shit, that does not equate out to how often I watch these movies. Because I watched
Right.
Batman and Robin more than I've watched the rest of these movies, like that are
Yeah.
up here ranked.
That is very true,
Yeah.
honestly. It is the like it's almost comfort food. It's like
Yeah.
how disgusting that movie is.
Right. All right, dude. And here's where my bias starts coming in hard.
Hmm.
One of my favorites, if not my favorite Batman movie, Batman Begins. I fucking love
Yeah.
this movie. I don't need to start. You can start. Because I'm just
I
gonna
just
gush about
yeah.
this movie.
I rewatched it recently and it's probably one of the most it is the most solid origin and kind of Batman feel movies in terms of like a pretty pure Batman vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the story is told like really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first, I did not enjoy the first half of this movie as much as I thought I. So I thought I enjoyed the whole movie a lot more than I did, but the first half actually I thought was like kind of hit the mark or missed the mark a handful of times, and then the second half of this movie I thought was like all incredibly phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, once he becomes Batman, I like it all just kind of clicks, which might also just be part of it. Is like it's the journey, it's all the hero's
Right.
journey, whatever. Um, I don't really love Maggie Gyllenhaal as the love interest. She's just kind
That's
of
Dark Knight.
oh, that is dark. Oh,
Yeah,
wait, who's
yeah.
in this one? Who's in
No,
this one?
it's Katie Holmes in this one, baby.
Yeah, it's Katie Holmes.
Katie
Yeah.
Holmes.
I guess both. No, Katie Holmes is fine in this one. Uh,
she has way more chemistry with Christian Bale than Maggie Gyllenhaal
yes.
ever did.
Yes.
So like
100%.
that's also a part of it. Because like in this movie, I actually care about the two of them, but like
Right.
we'll talk about this more. But I do not in the next one.
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And I think I just don't love, and this is just the start of my bias as well, is I just don't like Christian Bale as Batman.
oh, I mean, as a very big Batman fan, I do not rank him high in Batman at all. He is not
Hmm.
the best part of these movies. Like he's fine, but
Hmm.
like everything else about these movies like are pretty. I just rewatched The Dark Knight Rises scene,
No.
and I'll talk about that movie obviously. But like, yeah, his fucking voice, where are the like I can't fucking handle that dude.
And yeah, I mean he's like one of the smallest ones too, apart from Michael Keaton. It's like he's a tiny guy.
But he's
Not
fucking
not.
jacked though. And
Yeah.
especially in the first movie because he slims down in the next two. In the first
Mhm.
Batman Begins, he actually had to lose muscle because he came in too bubbly and jacked. They
Oh,
literally told him to lose weight.
oh gosh.
I really like this movie because it feels like a Batman movie and it's about him. Because I've told you this before, like The Dark Knight is a Joker movie. Like
Hmm.
he shares the spotlight, and that's like funny enough, the same problem I have with the first Batman movie is it's like Batman is kind of playing second fiddle to Joker in that movie.
Right. Oh,
But in this movie, I like that he's front and center. You have one of my favorite villains of all time, Scarecrow, and I love
yeah.
his performance. Like his performance as Jonathan Crane is such a good like secondary villain in a movie. Like
Mhm.
menacing enough, but you know obviously that there's somebody else there.
Yep.
And just how much this movie modernizes Batman without bastardizing it. Like I
Right.
love like the Tumbler is like yeah, it's a tank, but like
Yeah.
it feels like it needs to be a tank to do the things that the Batmobile does, you know.
I do love Lucius Fox who plays him,
Oh,
Morgan
Morgan
Freeman.
Freeman. Oh, the
It's
cast other
so
than
good.
Christian Bale is top tier.
Right, yeah. Michael Caine.
Yeah.
God,
My
dude.
cocaine.
Michael Caine. You
Yeah.
see,
I
I don't
also
want.
it's a small thing. I love the like kind of sepia tone that the movie has throughout all of
Yeah.
it. I really like that. It has this kind of dark, ominous vibe to it, like with that.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think the only thing I don't like about the movie, and I think you were watching this part the other day when I like came
Hmm.
downstairs, but it's when that old guy at the end keeps giving the exposition of like, if we don't stop this, this is gonna blow. Like that guy, like,
I do love. Now that you bring that up, I think that is one of my just like in general favorite Batman set pieces is the monorail in Gotham, and I very much enjoy their use of the monorail in Gotham in that movie. That's
mm-hmm,
like that might be like I said, I really enjoyed the second half of that movie like a
mm-hmm,
lot more than I remembered liking it before.
yeah.
But yeah, so I think for me, I'd put it in A as of right now.
I would be happy putting it in A because like
And I think it was,
my bias with this one. I'm not gonna fight like to put it in S because like A is good for this movie.
I don't think there would be a movie that would take over the front of A other than this one. I think
Yeah.
this one like pretty confidently
Well, to be
sits
fair, I don't think any other movie is going to hit A or is going to be in A, I should say.
yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. Very fair. Yep. Which brings us to the next one. I mean,
The movie.
this is probably considered the best Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of just to jump off of what you were saying before about this not being a where the last one was a Batman story, this is definitely like more of a Joker story,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is where it thrives, like in a lot of ways, because a lot of the Batman parts are the worst part of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
or
Oh,
like
easily.
at least like even just like we were saying with Maggie Gyllenhaal being, not our favorite love interest, but everything else around the movie, like having Harvey Dent Two Face. Like, dude, talk about polar opposites between Tommy Lee Jones and this.
Mm-hmm. Aaron
This is
Eckhart kills
like,
it. Yeah, he's great.
oh my gosh, he's so good because he's such a good guy. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the way that you watch him fall from grace is so like like bittersweet because it's like
I want my
you
Harvey Dent stories to have that vibe, you know.
yeah, and like you, if you're a fan, you know what happens. You know
Oh
what
yeah.
happens the first time you see him, and I feel like throughout it, you're just like, oh no,
Yeah.
because he's so good. He's
Mm-hmm.
killing it. He's helping.
Well,
It's
even
all
so
work.
much so that like, Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne is like, yeah, he's better than me. I fucking suck. Like, I'm gonna tell people I'm Batman so he doesn't get in trouble. Like,
Right,
willing to
yeah,
fall on the sword for him, like, kind of good. Like, I love that. Like you were saying, this movie's purposely like the movie Heat. Like, it's pretty much the movie Heat, but in Batman. Like even the way it's filmed, like the like kind of like clear blue tint it has, you can even see it on the movie poster. Like that's also the tint
right.
the movie has. But I like that tint it has. Like it's really cool.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean Heath Ledger just fucking kills this movie. I mean like even if you don't like fawn over his performance, it's like it won an Oscar for a reason. Like it is chilling. Like it
It
takes the
is.
breath out of every scene and every actor around him. Like
It's the thing where it's like I feel like it's you constantly forget it's Heath Ledger.
mm,
It's like he is such a removed, out of body kind of experience character in this series, where it's like, dang, it felt like a Joker. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this dude felt like a proper ticking time bomb that was always both two steps ahead but sprinting backwards. Like, you know, it's just like so wacky
Mm-hmm.
and dangerous, which was fun. The way it's shot, that first scene is like with the bank is just
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Oh yeah, I love that
So
scene.
cool. Um, yeah,
You
yeah.
and your friends are dead. Yeah, like dude, I that beginning scene, dude, I like know that scene, man.
So I
Oh,
would put this at like the bottom of S tier.
I was actually gonna say this should go to the front of S tier.
Okay, no, I'll put it at the front. Yeah, let's do it.
I think like it is the Batman movie.
Yeah,
Like it just is. Like
it is.
it is so it has such a cultural impact. It has one of the best performances of all time. So much so that like it carries a Batman movie because its villain is so good. You know, like when
Right.
the fuck did, like it's insane.
Mhm.
It's shot incredibly well. Like I love Batman Begins because it's a Batman movie, but The Dark Knight is a better movie. You know, like
Yeah, it's a bit more of a film.
right.
There's the way that it breathes, like inhales and exhales. That movie just kind of flows in a really pleasing way. That like carries everybody's story along. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel like one person in the story is dragging. Like
Right.
everyone carries the plot in a like a pretty cohesive way.
Mm-hmm. And like the ending of that movie like still gives me chills when I watch it when it's just like Commissioner Gordon being like the Dark Knight like and it just cuts out like oh man I love that movie, it's great.
It's so good.
Now, oof, moving on to The Dark Knight
Yeah,
Rises, the ending of the trilogy, something
yeah.
that I personally pretty man pretty meh.
No, same, same. I think there's a lot of really cool parts of this movie, but where the second one had an incredible flow, I feel like this one didn't know how to get to the end of
For
itself.
sure.
Like, where I didn't necessarily have a point where I was like, oh, I see where this is going. I kind of didn't care where it was going. It
Right.
was long. I felt like I was one of the fucking cops stuck underneath the goddamn city of Gotham. Like, not
Yeah.
give a shit if it fucking exploded. Like, just get me out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they saw because I know the original plan was like obviously if Heath Ledger was still alive, the plan was to have the Joker be the main villain of the next Batman movie as well. But then he obviously died. And
Right.
so they had Bane, and so I feel like they had to have like another gimmicky villain. And
Hmm.
like I always teeter on liking it and hating it. Because like just the I want to tell the world, like that, like it's so just like once South Park mocked it, it's like I can only think of that voice like in a joking way now, you know?
Well, and they do something because I did not get through it, but I started this movie in preparation for this. And something that they do with the audio that I didn't really realize before because I wasn't really paying attention is that because in the beginning with the airplane scene when they're like killing that dude or getting the information or whatever Bane's doing, they are hanging from a plane that's being carried by another plane talking inside of the like cabinet of that plane, and whenever Bane speaks all of the other audio pretty much cuts out, and
Yeah.
like he's literally wearing something on his face like
Yeah.
like there's an aspect that's like I can't tell if this works or if it doesn't because in my head something feels off, but
Mhm.
is that the intention or does it feel off because it is off? Like,
Right.
should there be more nuance to his voice and like the oh god, I forget what it's called, but the outside sound in the scene. There's a like a fancy film term for it, but like the sounds around him dropping out just feels so strangely specific and like I
Yeah.
don't know if it like actually accomplishes what they try to do.
Right. Yeah, and like but the first two movies felt like it had an identity, and this one definitely, like you were saying, it's like bouncing around. It doesn't have a good flow. It definitely doesn't feel like it knows where it wants to go. Like it has an ending, but it's trying to like paint an interesting path there, but doesn't quite make it. Because
Right.
like I think the movie is excellent up until he gets his back broken. Like that's literally the climax of the movie for me, where I was like, that's like that scene where he gets the shit kicked out of him is awesome
Right. Yeah,
by
dude. No,
Bane. Like that's
100%.
like an actually awesome scene. But once you get past that and he's like stuck in that fucking hole, and it's like, yes, the fucking analogies, whatever you want to fucking say about that storytelling thing, it's not fun to watch. Like it's pretty boring.
Yeah, it is. I mean, analogies are one thing, but it's like it's another thing to capture it, you know.
Right. Oh yeah.
Um, oh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, it does have something that we don't see often in a lot of Batman movies is him losing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that we got out of there. Yeah, I okay, so yeah, where would you put it? At
See,
the top?
I would put it at the top of C or the bottom of B.
I'd put it at the bottom of B, I think.
Okay. I can be okay with that. I think, and it's another thing where I should watch it again soon because I have very specific things I don't like about the movie that won't change from it. Like I'm not a big fan of Bane generally,
Hmm.
and like the other movies had good villains that kind of outweighed Christian Bale's meh performance for me. But this one, you have two people. Like it literally is him being like, "Where are the drugs?" and he's like, "Blah, blah, blah," like back and forth to each. Like it's so
Right.
unbearable to me. And
Right.
like that alone, like just pegs this movie down because it's fine. I really actually like that they cut off Bruce Wayne's story and he's done being Batman. Because
Hmm.
it's the same thing with like Captain America laying down finally. It's like you have people online who are like, no, his character would never do that. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like,
Right.
can we just
Yeah.
have human stories where it kind of makes a little more sense than just like, I'm going to do this until I'm in the ground?
Mhm.
Like,
You know what? You know what? Let's do it. You said the beginning of C.
yeah,
Let's put it at the front of C.
hell yeah. Because like when
Is
he
this
drops off the nuke, it's kind of weird, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And then, but I do really like, I love the ending where Alfred like sees him, and it's almost like an Inception. Like, did he really see Bruce and Selena there? He probably did, but you don't
right.
really know. Like,
Yep.
I like that.
Because this next you know what I'm doing is I'm leaving room for my next bias coming up.
Oh no, oh no, dude. All right, Batman v Superman. What absolute disgusting things am I about to hear?
This is the biggest Batman that we've gotten, and my biggest gripe with all of the
Oh,
Batmans is that they're not big enough.
can I
I
make
do
a? Sorry, go ahead.
I do really like Ben Affleck
Same.
as Bruce Wayne.
He
I
is
think him
not
as
the problem with this movie. Like that. That's what
yeah,
I want to throw out there right away.
yeah, no, I think him as Bruce Wayne is really solid. I do enjoy the fact that it's Batman taking like Superman very seriously as a threat,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's like kind of a fun angle just in general because it's
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, that's like it's pre Justice League. This is kind of the intent of the Justice League is that there's like a foreign potential enemy on the soil. So it's
Batman's
like
contingency plans are like some of my favorite storylines that come out.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Yeah, so that's why this one will like I mean it'll always rank higher for me because I think Ben Affleck gets more props from me because I think he was actually a really solid Batman and Bruce Wayne. I think his suit and like the thickness and like the armor
One of my
aspect of
favorite suits.
yeah, it was really cool and like kind of just gives me Injustice vibes, like Injustice 2, the video
Mm-hmm.
game. I feel like the suits are a little bit more like that in this, and I just like that in general.
Mm-hmm. No, his normal suit and his like the suit that they just ripped out of Dark Knight Returns. Like both the suits he has in this movie are excellent. I actually really do
Mhm.
like the Batmobile. It's not my favorite Batmobile, but I feel like it's like a nice mix between like
Look it up.
a longer it's like a longer tumbler that's like flat. Like that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
Um,
I think oh yeah. No, I like that. I mean cuz that
it's fine.
this is like the happy medium between the Val Kilmer Batmobile and the Tumbler kind of.
Yeah.
This is like if you turned the Val Kilmer Batmobile and the Tumbler into one thing. Is like
Yep.
that's what it looks like. It is kind of underwhelming whereas like the first handful I mean and that's kind of the whole gist with a lot of the new stuff is that I don't love the fact that new and sleek means like less flash.
Right.
Like
Hmm.
it's still a comic book
There's
character.
not a
Like
lot of statements being made on it when it's like you should be
yeah,
making. Because, like, you'll get the Batmobile for the new Batman movie. It's just a fucking hot rod car, you know? Like, but it looks
right.
fucking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say
Pretty.
about Batman v Superman.
Hmm.
I think where I had Christian Bale was put in a role where he couldn't fail. I think
Hmm.
Ben Affleck was put in a situation where, like, he was so his Batman literally kills people in this movie like multiple times.
Hmm.
Like in the car chase scene, which is cool, but like he literally kills like 5 people at least in that scene. So like that's
Hmm.
not great. Like that's just a misunderstanding of the character. Because like I
Hmm.
watched an interview with Zack Snyder and he was like, "Well, he didn't kill them, but like the explosions did." And it's like, wow, that's not
Yeah.
it. It was the bullets that killed him, sir. I fired the gun.
Yeah.
Um, every like fight scene he's in is fucking dope. Like the warehouse one, like that just feels straight out of an Arkham game. So like when I watched that, I was like, here we go, because I already
Hmm.
liked him as Batman. I was one of the people that was like, give him a fucking shot. Like
Right.
like Heath Ledger kind of broke that mold where it was like, shut up and just wait. See if, because like Robert Pattinson, for instance, people shit on
Hmm.
that casting. Looks like he's gonna kill it, you know.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I will say, so I think this movie is a good Batman movie and a terrible Superman movie, you know?
All
Because
right. Okay. Yeah. I like
going
that.
out of Man of Steel, I was actually a little bit higher on Henry Cavill because I went in being like, meh, he looks okay. Went outside being like, I think he has potential. They just need to give him the right Superman story. This was the one where I was like, I don't know if he's it.
This wasn't the right Superman story.
Yeah. Because like
Yeah, he did kind of get the shaft on this one, which is a bummer.
every time Batman's on screen, it's fun. And every time
Yeah.
Superman's on screen, it's fucking boring.
Yeah. Exactly.
You
Which
know?
isn't even a great setup for Justice League because it's like Superman's not even in Justice League for most of it.
Yeah.
like almost the entirety of that movie. He's only in the end.
And the biggest fault of this movie and the reason it sucks is it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's a prequel to
Mhm.
Justice League. It's a fight against the both of the heroes while also being like a team up with Wonder Woman who's in this. And
Right.
they fight Doomsday and Lex
Yep.
Luthor. Like Jesus Christ, like they fit in so many things. It's just such a
Right.
nightmare.
You mean a doomsday?
Sorry, wrong universe.
Right. Yeah, no, that did all feel kind of a little bit weird because I also just don't love Gal Gadot as Wonder
I
Woman
mean,
just
you
in
know
general.
what I love. You have to wish. I
I
can't.
have to
We could do
wish.
a tier list of Wonder Woman movies and all two of them.
Yeah, and only the deceased tier will be in view.
All right, so where do you, I want to ask you where you want to put this first because I want to see where you want to put it.
Well, I put Batman Rises lower to put this one higher, so I'd put it at the end of B.
Oh, I can't do that. I would do this above Batman Rises and C. I can't do higher than that.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take
Okay.
that.
I just, man,
That's fine.
because like, you know, it's like what we talked about. It's like when Batman's on screen, it's fucking cool, but everything else about it is bad. And then they also make him kill people.
That's
What?
the same. That's the same argument with what's in B right now.
But he kills one person, and it's the
Yeah,
Joker. I'm
you
not
know,
saying it's good, but
killing
it's a
people,
better
killing
movie.
people. All right, all right.
That's not like a big reason of why it's not a great movie, but that's just a character flaw thing for me of not
Mhm.
like that's like a big reason why Batman is not in A, you know.
Right, right.
But I'm content with that being in C. I
Yeah,
might put Rises above that, but if it's like our combined list and we're putting Rises lower and
yeah,
that higher, I think this is a happy medium.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
And then to cap this off, to finish this bitch up, where do we think the Batman would land?
I think it's going to be at the front of A potentially.
Okay. I'm going big. I think it's going to be an S tier. I think it's going to be a banger
Okay.
Batman movie.
I guess my opinion is a bit more reserved. I don't think it, as long as it, I guess it depends on how it tells the story. Like if it is an
Hmm.
origin or if he's already Batman. It kind of depends on a lot of how they do, because a lot of how we've ranked these are, is this a Batman story? Does this feel like a Batman film?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the unknowns of this movie would dictate kind of the where it would be placed in the top three, if you
Mm-hmm.
feel me.
No,
Because
for sure.
I feel like A is where it is, partially because it is a solid origin story. So I feel like if the way that they tackle it, yeah, if they nail the story, then I feel like it could be S easily. Because from what we've seen in the previews, I think the action is going to be incredible.
Oh
I
yeah.
think costume design is already gorgeous. I think having it being gritty and kind okay, so here's like a little bit of an extension of like something that you've pointed out with the later Batman movies, is that with the first Batman, I'm sorry, the more recent Christian Bale ones, with Batman Begins, it kind of has that sepia tone. Same with the
This has
movie
red.
poster. The second one has that like kind of green or the blue hue to it.
Mm-hmm.
So this one being like really dark, the red
Mm-hmm.
tones, but just like is gritty. I like if it follows that same style and design in the storytelling and in the filmmaking, I feel like it's got the makings of being like one of the better Batman films.
Their like marketing for this film, the posters, like everything is chef's kiss, dude. Like that
Yeah.
poster is so simple and it fucking slaps.
Yep.
Yeah,
The him
no.
walking towards the dude on the ground upside
Mm-hmm.
down is
Mm-hmm.
like such a good, just like oof.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't fucking wait to see this movie. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be fantastic. I think we're
Yeah.
seeing it on Sunday.
Fuck yeah. All right, man. That's every live action Batman movie. Besides
We do.
like the Adam West one, I think. But like
Yeah.
meh.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel
I
about it?
feel good about this list. I think the
Yeah.
fun thing about our lists is we have a lot of things that overlap, but then
Hmm.
we have like we usually have like especially in our Marvel list we had like I think 5 or 6 films where we were kind of like I don't know, man, But
Had to do some gambling, some
yeah,
bartering.
so like we only had to gamble. I think Dark Knight Rises and Batman v
Superman,
Superman
Batman.
were the only
Yeah.
two ones that we kind of shuffled a bit, but the rest I think are pretty in line. I
Yeah.
think on a good or a bad day, we could shift a few of them up or down, depending. Maybe not like the S tier, but the rest of them could
Right.
shift.
Those are such mainstays. Even just like, I mean, you look at those ones, you look at like, how much a lot of these movies have made when they came out, and this probably follows like a pretty close pattern.
Hmm.
Um, to, the mass appeal. But yeah, no, there's a reason. I love Batman.
Oh yeah, same man. I was fucking obsessed. Half my graphic novels are Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's The
I'm
Dark Knight.
pumped. I'm pumped to see this fucking movie, and I think it's gonna be S tier. I'm calling it. We'll
Yeah.
we'll we'll discuss and we'll like add a comment updating, but
Yeah, right.
like on the
Was
YouTube video.
good.
But
Was bad.
yeah, deceased, dude. Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Robert Pattinson.
We'll close it out on that. Thanks anybody for
Yeah.
tuning in and talking to us. This will be up on YouTube. Have a good night.